this podcast and obviously my business is all about purpose. And, um, I know when it comes to internal comms, that's really important. I mean, I wanted to ask you a bit about um, communicating that sense of purpose. Like, how important is that? Especially kind of getting across the direction that a company is going to those that work within it.
It's huge. It's such an important conversation to have. And when you don't talk about purpose, you miss often the reason why your people choose to work for you and work with you. So it's really important. When I think in recent years, it's become quite a catchphrase in a way. We are a purpose-driven organization. And if you really drill down and look at who you are, what you do, what you stand for, what you're known for as an organization, and you look at the purpose, very often it's lip service. Very often there's an integrity gap between what people say and what people do. The first people to spot that gap are your employees. They're your people who are living the reality of your organization. So when I'm looking at organizations, I'm really trying to uncover what is it that is motivating, inspiring, and keeping your workforce. And if it's a purpose, if you're a charity or if you're the NHS, for example, the National Health Service, then it might be that your people are choosing, or government, they want to be civil servants and public servants. They're compelled by the cause. They're compelled by that purpose of public duty and public service. Sometimes I find in organisations that there is, Dr. Kevin Ruck talks about this a lot, as role engagement versus organisational engagement. And I've certainly found this in my career where people may choose to join an organisation because they like the type of role they get to do. So they might love being a train driver or a paramedic. It might not matter to them whether they work for a particular train operating company or a particular NHS trust that has paramedics. Their engagement level comes with the role, not necessarily who they're working for. So many organizations miss that, and they talk about the purpose from an organizational perspective rather than affirming we cannot do what we do. We can't, cure patients, sell widgets, transport people without having these brilliant people and who are our employees. So really affirming the role of the train drivers and the paramedics, that's often missed. When I look at an organization, I can spot that, and I can spot the fact that there is that disconnect. If you just talk at an organizational engagement and purpose level and you don't drill down to that relevancy, what's in it for me? Why am I here? How does my organization really affirm and recognize the value that I bring as an individual employee, choosing to give my skills, my knowledge, experience to this organization to fulfill its purpose as well as my personal purpose. If you just do half, you communicate half the story, and you can feel when that's missing, but you can also feel when it's there, when it's done right, when there isn't that disconnect or that integrity gap between what we're saying and doing. It's so critical for internal communication.
It's really interesting because it's essentially you're putting yourself in the eyes of the team member, aren't you? And looking at it from their perspective and saying, what is this organization giving to me, but also what am I giving to it? And rather than being a small cog in a big wheel, actually my contribution is pivotal to the purpose being met.
Absolutely. I think, an organization is people. When we talk about the organization, actually what we're talking about is our people. So it's really important always that when we're looking at how an organization communicates, we're looking at how people are. We're looking at what they bring, their skills, their experiences, their passions. And I think that's why internal comms is so compelling for me and so interesting, because that varies from organization to organization. You experience it when you're in-house, that difference between organizations. And particularly for me as a consultant and my team, we work with so many different organizations that you can experience those cultures from the inside out. Yeah. We talk a lot about what happens inside is reflected outside. If you've got a positive culture, that will seep out. If you've got a negative culture, that will seep out too. So the culture and purpose conversations go hand in hand for me. If you've got a good, motivated, inspired workforce, normally it's because they understand how they fit in and they understand what's in it for them being part of an organization, not just what the organization expects from them, but what they can expect from the organization, from the people.